Namaste and welcome everyone. Good afternoon. We are from Indian Entrepreneurs Association, welcoming you all, welcoming the speaker and Neha, who is leading this sessions called SHE, See Her Empowered. It is directed towards entrepreneurs of Indo-German origin who are here in Germany as well as in Europe. We want to bring changes in this dynamic sector of startups and the entrepreneurship which is happening here and enable them to understand the German market, understand the German business mindset, and become an enabler to establish their businesses in Germany. So, IEF, as it can be short formed, is a non-profit organization which was induced in 2009, and it has changed its name last November to Indian Entrepreneurs Forum as a niche focus, which is gaining much more traction here as we see many Indian diaspora members and students and workforce in the IT industry which has come here. And everyone from India, as you must be knowing, has a mindset of starting something of your own. And this entrepreneurial spirit is what we want to support here in Germany. And the basic idea behind SHE will be given to you by Neha. She is herself a marketing and digital coordinator at the organization IEF, as well as she is working at Infineon Technologies as a global product manager. And she is a student at TU München for MBA in innovation. So I proudly welcome Neha to this forum and give an insight on what is IEF, and also welcome parallelly Pallavi Ji Mishra, who is heading FICI Germany, and all of you to be with us. And if you have any questions or queries, please start putting them in the chat box, and we'll address them at the end of this session. Thank you. Over to you, Neha.
Thank you, Sanjay, for your kind words. Namaste, India, and willkommen zusammen in Deutschland. Thank you for joining the session 3 of SHE Summit 2020 with us. For those who haven't attended the last 2 days of the SHE Summit, we had pretty interesting sessions, but I would like to give a small introduction of what this initiative is about. It's a non-profit initiative taken by Indian Entrepreneurs Forum. See Her Empowered is an idea of bringing diverse cohort of Indo-German women entrepreneurs and successful leaders to share their journeys, challenges, and core principles around their business functions with well-seasoned professionals just like you joining across us across the globe. I would like to welcome you all to this session and thank you for your time today on discussing with us on the topic Exploring Indo-German Business Potentials with Pallavi Mishra, country head FICI Germany. FICI stands for Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, for those who do not know. We have today Pallavi with us. Pallavi from FICI has vast experience in stakeholder and partnership management in exploring cross-country potentials. She has worked in areas of strategic planning and execution in FICI over more than 8 years. She has experience of working with diverse industry and public sectors in India and Germany. And as country head Germany, FICI, Pallavi works to further deepen the economic and business relationships between the two countries by working very closely with all the stakeholders. I would like to extend my warm welcome to Pallavi for spending an hour with us today, despite of her very busy schedule, and joining hands with us on the SHE Summit today. Welcome, Pallavi. And I would like to also give the floor to you now to briefly introduce yourself in case I missed something about you to the audience today. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Neha. Thanks a lot, Sanjay ji, for giving for giving FICI this opportunity. I'm really grateful. Neha, you have given my introduction, in the best possible manner, my professional introduction for sure. I would like to say a few words about FICI before we dive deep into the discussions. FICI, as Neha mentioned, stands for Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry. We started our journey in 1927, at the behest of Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation. Because he was father of the nation. Gandhiji was of the thought that businesses are there to serve people, and he had this vision that when India gets its independence, it is the business which is going to form the backbone of the country. So that's how we started. The journey has been FICCI's journey. Of course, people who come from India, FICCI is a known name for Indians, but for our audience who are from Germany, I would like to tell them that FICCI is a combination of German BDI and DIHACA, because we represent industries and we also represent the chambers of commerce across India. That's what we do. We have a membership of 250,000 companies in India and abroad. We have 15 offices in India, in different cities, and 9 internationally, because that also gives us a wider international business outreach. Currently, FICCI is being headed by Dr. Sangeeta Reddy, who is from the healthcare industry. And, this is just purely by chance that she is heading us at this time of crisis, right? So we learned a lot with her in this journey in last few months. It has been incredible. Of course, we will share that throughout our discussion. FICCI, as you may understand, that FICCI represent different sectors, different business sectors. So we represent more than 70 business sectors in India, and these sectors are being represented with the professionals who have immense amount of knowledge and experience in their particular sector. I'll give you example. It's a little complex world. People who come from a corporate background, it may take them a little while to understand it. But it is an interesting world. I promise you, you'll not get bored of it. So we work with 70 different sectors, as I said, and these sectors are being headed by sector chairs and co-chairs who come from that specific sector. For example, we have a sector in healthcare. We have a sector in, for startups. And the startup sector chair is headed by the founder of HCL Technologies, and the co-chair is the founder of Angel Investments. So that's how we try and cover the whole ecosystem through these sectors. That's what we do. We also have a very strong say in the policy making when it comes to industry specific policies in India. From time to time, we collect industry's opinion, point of view through several roundtables or surveys or one-on-one interviews if required. And we give our inputs in budget making. In fact, my colleagues are already busy collecting inputs from industry for the next year's budget. So that's what we do in FICCI. FICCI Germany, as Neha, you mentioned, I started here as the representative and country head for FICCI Germany last year in April. So it has been a pretty incredible journey, because this is, in fact, this is my very first assignment with FICCI's international division. And the learning curve has been huge, like very steep, of course, but very enriching at the same time. Yeah, so over to you.
Thank you, Pallavi, for sharing this insight and overview about what FICCI does and what's the vision of FICCI in general. But before we delve more into FICCI and your professional side, I would first like to touch your personal side, because when I first talked to you, I was really amazed to see such a charismatic personality that you can just simply connect over call. You were so approachable, and I would really like to thank you. It was the first time we chatted because of this event, and I was very much inspired by your journey, how you moved from India, how you left your job, you came to London and came to Munich or Germany then, in Berlin. So I would like you to also share that story with the audience today, because that's very interesting, your personal side of how you actually came from India into FICCI in Germany, now leading on a leading position here.
Neha, you are extremely kind. As I said, my journey is very ordinary, but supported and encouraged by, some fantastic people like you, honestly. You yourself, have such an entrepreneur skill that in spite of being in a full-time job, doing a course, you have started this initiative, which is amazing. Yeah, so as I said, the journey has been enriching nonetheless. Uh, I was trained, as I said, I was a little lost youngster at that time, didn't know what to do exactly, wanted to try my hand at several things. And then came German language, because we had recently moved I'm originally, I would like to say here that I'm originally from Bihar in India. And I moved to Delhi because my father got transferred to Delhi, and we moved to Delhi in mid session, because and then I couldn't get admission anywhere in, like fantastic Delhi University colleges. So I took admission in distance learning, but at the same time, I came across this German language course at Max Muller Bhavan. And that was something which, if I can say, that was a time when my journey actually started. I got into the language. I got to learn the language. I got to learn the whole new culture. And that's like almost 15, 17 years ago. So uh, uh, yeah, it started then. And then I wanted to be a language lecturer in Max Muller Bhavan in India. Okay, but then I was pushed very hard by my family that you gotta find a career in this span of time. Okay, we want to see you, self-dependent and being on your own feet. So thanks to my parents at that time, in hindsight, I think they were right in pushing me hard, because they knew my potential better than I knew myself. So I landed up in back office jobs in India, doing language translation and working as a German language interpreter, doing similar kind of translations for telecom industry and for aviation industry, like that. It was very encouraging, because I was there at the right time when all these back office changes were happening in India, and India was right at the center of the world, of being the back office of the whole world. So it was mind blowing, coming from Bihar, and then coming from a very middle class background, going to these fancy multinational companies were amazing, a very enriching experience for me. Uh, and then I landed up in a telecom sector job, Colt, which changed my positioning as a professional, which actually made me aspirational. I was supported by incredible female bosses there. I can't say that, I'm not saying that male bosses were not good enough, but female bosses were amazing, because they pushed, you probably, you can connect better. I don't know what works, but it doesn't work at times also. I have examples of that as well. But luckily for me, it worked at that time. And I can't forget the name of, my senior director, Anna Lucas, who was from France. And then my manager, my senior manager in the Preet Kaur, who is now an interior designer by profession, and my team leader at that time, Sonali. I will always be grateful to these three women for pushing me, and for telling me there's nothing wrong in being aspirational. So yes, and then I landed in London to do my MBA after a very successful stint in Colt, for 2.5 years. I went to London at the age of 28 years. That is the age when in India, people want, okay, girl has to be settled down, settled down by that age, 28. And here I was telling my parents that, okay, I have found this new aspiration. I want to do my MBA in international business, and that too from a foreign country. Okay. There were a few discussions, okay, a few unpleasant ones as well at home. But, I can never thank my parents enough for trusting me enough to send me to, okay, go ahead, do your MBA. Okay, and we don't, of course, every parent want their daughter or their children to get married and settled by so and so standards as we have in India. But my parents were courageous enough to let me go and give me wings to fly high, but still taught me how to stay grounded. I went there. And also, what helped me in this journey was my brother being in the same country. He was working for an India software firm at that time there. He was in a different city, but it helped me. London, living in London and doing my MBA has changed me forever. Absolutely. I've grown as a person. I've become more responsible. I was dealing with, people from 26 different countries. Okay, it was a class of 30 students, and there were students from 26 different countries, which was challenging for sure, because going back to academics after working for 4 years wasn't easy. I also did, some student jobs there. I worked in Costa Coffee, part-time to just give me some extra money to see London, because London is an expensive city, right? And my course was also pretty expensive. But nonetheless, as I said, I enjoyed my journey. So, my key message to all fellow female entrepreneurs, especially, is that no matter what you do, okay, try and find joy in that, because that is something which will stay for the rest of your life. I have forgotten, there were many struggles that came along the way, but I have forgotten more or less those struggles. And, these joy that I got through the way remained with me. And, those moments bring smile on my lips from time to time. Well, I did my MBA. I came back to India, but that was not the best time to come back to India, because at that time, the global recession had happened, 2008 and 9. I wasn't being welcomed by Indian companies. Nobody was giving me job with, 5, 6, 7 figures, or you forget about that basic salary also. So it was a very difficult time. It took me almost 10 months to find a job with FICCI. I applied. I do not even remember, for how many jobs I have applied. And then I realized that all these job applications are going in some black hole. Nobody is calling me back. So I started calling organizations, actually talking to HR people. And I ended up calling the fantastic lady in FICCI HR at that time. And she was very enthusiastic. She also was female, by the way, like a lady. So she was very enthusiastic, and she invited me to send my CV. I shared my resume. I was interviewed by very senior people in FICCI. And so they were very happy and very welcoming towards me. I was selected for a different position, but they sent me in a different department, because they thought I have good experience and exposure to international culture. So give her opportunity in International Chamber of Commerce in India, which is an allied body of FICCI, which in itself is a huge, ocean, because that's an International Chamber of Commerce headquartered in Paris. So the real challenge of getting into stakeholder management came then, because I really didn't have any idea what FICCI was all about. You go through website, okay, you read about it, you hear about FICCI, but what is it actually? What does FICCI do? It is very difficult to understand if you are not from that organization, or if you are not from that ecosystem. So it took me some time, and luckily, fortunately, unfortunately, my then boss was a very senior FICCI veteran. When I look back, I think I had learned, a lot of things from him. But at that time, it was always a generational conflict with him. And for some reason, he always thought that I was very privileged. And he was like, when we started, we used to write letters by hands. You guys have got a computer. You can erase whatever you have written. You can recall your emails. But that wasn't my fault, right? But yes, interestingly, I learned a lot, in this journey, and I understood FICCI. Because once you start understanding an organization, then only you can appreciate it. I knew that I got to know what we do, and realizing that what we do actually matters. and it has the potential to make a difference was something that made me stick to FICCI, that made me go back to FICCI even after taking a sabbatical, when my daughter was born. I took a sabbatical for 3 years, but then I went back to FICCI because for the love of what we were doing, actually. Yeah.
That's extremely interesting. But it also makes the saying quite right in your case, right? If you love something, the world conspires to make you achieve that. So now here you are for your love for German. You are in Germany.
That's true. So this is when we say that the life has come to a full circle. So in my second stint in FICCI, what happened that there's this internal job posting had come for the for FICCI country head for Germany, and I saw that email and I was like, this sounds amazing. Let me just apply for it. There were a few things where I didn't check the box, okay, in the requirement criteria, but nonetheless, I applied. On that note, I would just like to say something which I learned by reading a book written by Sheryl Sandberg. She is the COO of Facebook, and she has written a book called Lean In. And I recommend that book to the humankind of this planet, not only women, men too. Everyone should read that book. And Sheryl has mentioned in her book that men apply for any job opening, even if they meet like 60-70% of the criteria, but women wait till they meet 90 and above percent of the criteria, and then they apply. So, I remembered about this Sheryl Sandberg's point that she mentioned in the book, and taking cue from that point, I applied for this job. And then here I am. So
I can totally relate to it. And I'm also a Sheryl Sandberg fan. And I totally agree with her saying that women have to be, twice as hard on the executive table to hear their voice, to make their voice being heard.
yes.
And that's exactly, I also appreciate because, if you look at world statistics, only 29% of the women are actually women entrepreneurs and leaders. And I have a special corner for them because, they have worked really twice as hard as, you themselves being counted on those 29% to make your mark in such a journey, to have your, voice on the executive table. But I would also like to understand because stakeholder and relationship management, one would perceive that it's a very male centric world that you have to kind of dive in. Now, you being a women leader, representative of FICCI in Germany, what were the women traits of you as a women leader that helped you to better establish your relationship with stakeholders and manage that very well from your side?
Neha, I think, though it has very, little to do with my being female or male, but I understand that communication is key for any relationship. And when it comes to stakeholder, it is absolutely critical. Okay. And women, have are very high on emotional intelligence. So what I try and talk genuinely with my stakeholders. Okay, if there has been a lack from our side, own it, and that's what I do. If there has been if there has been a delay in sending something to them, own it. Nobody's going to kill you if you don't own. If you say that, okay, no, it doesn't. It is not my fault or something. Nothing will happen. The world will not end. So this has been my approach. And as I said, because women are given by God's gift, we are high on emotional quotient. So I try and talk in a genuine manner, and I also share problems, like the issues that I had or my organization had. That helps me in connecting with my stakeholders better. I'll give you a very small example. Okay, this pandemic has changed a lot of things. It has changed the way FICCI has worked as well. So like many other organizations, and this has been a binding force, one single binding force for the whole universe. So, and the way we have been working in FICCI and in Germany has also had to change. Okay, and Germany hasn't been that open to digitalization. We know how Germany is about data protection, although luckily it has opened a lot. So, it wasn't so easy to have people agree to organize webinars for FICCI also in Germany. It was not easy. Okay, people were very doubtful, I would say. Okay, if not discouraging, they were doubtful whether it will succeed or not. But then when I went out and spoke to Indian companies, which are our major stakeholders, and told them that we have to engage with them. We have to tell the world the story of Indian companies in Germany. So come on, come out and let's talk about you guys. What you do here. You have been doing such tremendous amount of work in Germany. So let's do it. And so as I said, communication is key. Honest communication is key.
That's absolutely. I think honesty is something that takes us far. And I think this is one of the values that being in German environment and culture here, working here, everyone works towards. So I think it makes also transactions and discussions and communication very easy here. But that also again brings to a very interesting point, because you are exactly working at that intersection of the mindset of the different businesses. You're working within Germany for Indian businesses. So how do you see the challenges, and how do you see the potentials of doing business for the Indian companies in Germany as of today? What were the challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Neha, the challenges that I faced were slightly different than the challenges that usual Indian companies face. On my side, because in a way, FICCI was a startup here when I started, still a startup, I would say. Although FICCI is a known name in the business community, being the initiator here in Germany was not so easy. I had a different set of challenges ready for me. We can take up those challenges later on. Let's focus on the challenges that Indian companies face here. We had conducted a study, and to answer your exact questions, we had conducted the study, and the title of the study was the opportunities and challenges of doing doing business for Indian companies in Germany. That we did together with the GINSEP, the German Indian startup body, and Mitra, which is again a startup in consulting, digital consulting firm which works in Indo-German corridor. We did a survey with Indian companies. We had reached out to a lot of Indian companies asking what have been their major challenges. And the challenges that they highlighted were mostly, apart from the bureaucratic hurdles, were mostly from intercultural differences, language skills, and local recruitment, if I can say. So these were mostly challenges related to soft skills rather than hard skills or policy level challenges. So these are the challenges that they face. If you have intercultural differences, if you have challenges when it comes to language skills, then of course you will bound to have problems when it comes to organizational structure or organizational communication. In India, we are more hierarchical as a society. In Germany, it's more flat. So all these things are difficult for Indian companies. But having said that, there are few very successful Indian companies which are doing tremendous amount of work, and they are doing all these things very successfully. One of the challenges that they face is hiring right talent, because in Germany there is a war for talent, right? It takes time to find the right kind of people, because they want German companies want to hire people who are ready to do the job, right? Because they all come with the right skills and right training, thanks to their dual education system here. So these are few challenges that they face. Of course, administrative hurdles are there related to visa processes. So we work very closely with the Embassy of India, and we provide inputs to German government from time to time that these are the issues that Indian companies face.
Thank you, Pallavi, for sharing that. Very interesting. I mean, it's given because Germany has almost it has got India's 7%, or let's say seventh largest direct invest, 3% of share in FDI, and 3% for bilateral trade. So I think that is definitely a bigger strategic focus for our own government back in India. But how this is then replicated at your side within FICCI, for example, what sort of different strategic, let's say, sectors that you look into from an Indian business perspective in Germany, and how you help them grow here?
Uh, so of course there are a few key sectors which have more potential to grow between India and Germany than some other sectors. FICCI works very closely with the government, as I said, in both the countries. Before I share these sectors, I would just like to give you a little background there, that why we have chosen these sectors to work with, or to prioritize these sectors. So Indian and German head of the states, they meet every alternate year, in intergovernmental consultation. In short, it is called IGC. Germany has such strategic consultations with a few countries in the world, and India is one of such countries. So it shows how important India is to Germany. Right. So they meet every alternate year, and it is a very high level G2G, government to government consultations and dialogue that happens. And at the end of these 2 or 3 days consultations, the MEA, Ministry of External Affairs, comes out with a joint statement highlighting that these are the key areas which has tremendous potential of collaboration between the two countries. And that's where we take our cue from, because it's government's mandate to give us this, sort of a roadmap. And being industry association, we start dialogue on and building on this roadmap essentially. So the last consultation took place in November last year in New Delhi, and it changes place also. Like last year it happened in New Delhi. Next year it will happen in Germany, in Berlin most likely. So the key sectors that were identified in last year's joint statement, and I'll include some more sectors in that, are artificial intelligence and digital transformation, innovation and knowledge, climate and sustainable development was there, medical technology and medical devices were there, of course, agriculture, especially precision farming was there. Food processing is also a very interesting area of collaboration between India and Germany, which has huge potential. Textile industry, especially technical textile, was there. IT and IT services is there, and e-mobility. E-mobility. I wasn't forgetting that, and startups for sure.
That's exactly a very good point, because we also see the whole culture, and Germany now offers so large and diverse ecosystems for the startups to kind of incubate and get nurturing in. That also brings me to my next question, that how do you see the role of the German SMEs or Mittelstand, for example, galvanizing to the Make in India initiative? How is FICCI contributing to that and making use of this new youth power in Germany and bringing it to India and vice versa?
When it comes to German Mittelstand, and making them, use of Make in India initiative, we try and encourage educate German Mittelstand about Indian market. Okay, we do that through various mechanisms. We do that through with the help of the Embassy of India's program called Make in India Mittelstand. That's an initiative by the Embassy of India in Berlin to help German Mittelstand companies, understand and gain first-hand information and information about opportunities that lies in India, in different sectors, in different states. So that's where we collaborate with the Embassy of India. With the help of our MOU partners in Germany, we try and share such information with the German Mittelstand companies. And that is a place where huge opportunity lies for Indian companies. You would know about the lack of succession planning in German Mittelstand companies. That's a very talked about subject here in Germany. More than, I think, according to a recent study, the study was done 2 or 3 years ago, more than 80% of German Mittelstand companies do not have any succession planning. So they need someone to, actually lead the organization after a few years, of course, because the median age in Germany is, the median age of German population is higher, almost 17 or 18 years higher than Indian population. So India can actually, be a very organic partner for Germany in this. So as FICCI, we try and share information about India, and we tell them the benefits of India, because India not only presents a market of 1.3 billion people, but with its location, we can give access to the larger Indian subcontinent, and also to the South Asian, Southeast Asian countries as well. So as I said, as FICCI, our job is to give them information, try and bring them on the same table, give them access to their potential partners, and initiate the dialogue.
Pallavi, are there any specific matchmaking initiatives, partnerships, or networks somebody can, trying to approach FICCI can actually look at, or something you would like to share? If there are any specific initiatives under which this flourishes more, for example?
Yes, actually, we organize a lot of interactions from time to time, and in this virtual age, it has become even more, approachable, even more doable, if I can say so. You just have to keep in mind the time difference. That's it. On that note, Neha, if I can share about the FICCI's upcoming annual convention. This is our annual flagship event that takes place every year in December. This year it is happening on 11th, 12th, and 14th of December. And we are very fortunate to have Honorable Prime Minister to inaugurate our annual convention this year. We are also doing our annual expo virtually this year, which will also be inaugurated by Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi. So if anybody is interested, please let me know. I will share the details how to participate. It is all complimentary. Of course, to if you want to put up a stall in expo, you'll have to pay very minimum price, looking at the pandemic situation. But if you want to visit, experience it, you can do it just by virtually visiting all these stalls. And these online events also provide you opportunity to network, to do B2B network. You can see who are all the exhibitors, who all are participating. You can drop your business card there, and it all is done on FICCI's in-house virtual exhibition portal, if I can say portal.
Thank you, Pallavi, for sharing that. I think that's also a valuable piece of information, for example, for people interested to know more about FICCI, its initiatives and undertakings. That also brings me to my next question, because FICCI's slogan personifies FICCI as industry's voice for policy change. And I would be also very interested to hear from you that how you contribute in policy making, and hearing your global perspective, bringing this to India, and kind of voicing those challenges, maybe because of laws, regulations, legislations here, how these are constructed, taking into account back in India, and what sort of change mechanism happens there. If you can share some examples. Yeah.
Sure. So I'll tell you the mechanism. Okay. Examples might be a little difficult because this information is not available on public domain. So I will share the mechanism with you. I think I did mention it, during our earlier conversation, that from time to time we reach out to our industry members, our member companies, with the help of survey. Okay, that is just one example. We also organize a lot of roundtable meetings. We organize, on sensitive issues, we organize closed door meetings with our members. We invite government officials in our interactions, in our events, so that they get to know the pulse of the industry, how industry is thinking, what are its demands, what are its needs. And through such surveys and interactions, we involve our members in getting their inputs. We have specialized individuals in FICCI who work on policy, sector specific policies. We have our own economic affairs division, and it has the right talent from all the industries who understand the needs of healthcare industry and how it varies from the education industry, right? So they all keep on doing such interactions in their own industry, in their own domain. And when it comes to policy making, government actually looks up to FICCI and asks for recommendations, asks for its inputs, and that's when we provide our inputs. I invite you to visit FICCI's website, and if you go to FICCI's website, there is a page called Studies or Publication, and you can see there is a tab for policy recommendations there. If you go through that, you will see what kind of recommendations we provide and how we do it. So this is, in a nutshell, this is how we do it.
Thank you, Pallavi, for sharing that. Also, I would like to also understand, because you just mentioned GINSEP, but I think the potential that they carry is also immense, because they complete the full circle. You are viewing the Indian economy to Germany. They are viewing how to bring the German startups to India, for example. So what sort of different initiatives are you working with communities like GINSEP, Next Step India program, for example? We have our next speaker also tomorrow from German Accelerator, Ms. Juliane Fromter. And how does this full circle completes with such programs and FICCI altogether?
FICCI or any organization like FICCI cannot work in isolation. Okay, so we we work as a team, and GINSEP or German Accelerator, Next Step India, all these are very important opening batsmen for us, right? So we as I said, we did a study with GINSEP and Mitra last year. With the Julian, I'm in discussion to run few projects which hopefully will materialize next year soon. So GINSEP and German Accelerator, these two are very focused on startups. Okay, so I connected them with our startup committee in FICCI, startup sector heads in FICCI. But together with them, FICCI Germany is also launching something with Indian states. So you'll hear about that very soon. As I said, I'm in discussion, and so these two are the association with whom we work for startups. But there are different associations like BVMW. With them, we work in the Mittelstand domain. We work with DEIHK on the different chambers network in Germany. Yeah, so I don't know if I've answered your question, Neha, but you can please ask me again if I have left anything unanswered.
No, I think that's fine. Thank you, Pallavi, for sharing the insights on that front. It would be also very helpful. For example, you have seen so much on the course of the years, really working on this intersection. Are there any key best practice sharing or lessons learned, for example, for the people like you who exactly work in this domain of, cross-border relationships, stakeholder management, execution and planning around that activities? So what sort of a best practice sharing would you like to share with the audience today based on your learning experiences here in Germany?
Data protection.
Good point.
We have different standards when it comes to data protection. So, I mean, personally, I'm fine. I'm personally, if you ask me, the place that we come from, privacy is pretty is luxury, right? So I'm not so insecure about my data. That's fine. But yes, Germany is very particular about and having double layer of data security protection adds another dimension to it. So yes, we did I personally did share a few data protection and data security standards that Germany has. Some are really commendable. So I did share it with my team, and we are also implementing it in our communication, which is good, because in India we are still I wouldn't say behind, but we are on a different level than Germany. Um, and I cannot stress enough on communication. Communication is very important. I've heard from a lot of German companies that if their Indian counterpart is not able to deliver on time, or they face any challenge or any problem, they just go quiet. They do not respond to emails. They simply stop communicating. Because I know, being an Indian, I know that the people who are supposed to respond, they are busy in finding a solution, because for them it becomes a matter of face saving. So just let them know that you're working on it and it will get done. As I said, communication is key. So keep them informed. Status update is very important.
I can absolutely second your thought here. I think people need status updates here, and even if you are work in progress, you just need to report that it's just part of a different professional environment here. Yes. Compared to India. So the data protection also I can agree, because I'm working in automotive industry, and we see that every day, even from their car. Forget about policies or anything. Even in the car, they would like to have privacy.
On that note, I would like to share a very interesting experience that I had. Okay, now I find it interesting. When I came here, I was looking for accommodation because you get into that rut. Unless you get an accommodation, your Anmeldung will not be done, and then you cannot open a bank account, and your visa, you will not get a work visa. So I got entangled into that rut, and I became victim of a rental fraud. Okay, I lost like few £2,000 in that. And within my first month of arrival in Germany, I landed up in the police station. And I said, I have seen those goons. So why can't we, get picture from the CCTV, get footage. And the lady police officer was like, what CCTV? It's data shoots here. So I was like, come on, in India, I mean, my apartment's parking had, like 10 CCTVs. Come on. So yes, data protection is, we have different takes on it.
Yeah. Exactly. I think the degree of severity is higher, but what I like is that here the life of the other human is also equally valued, and I think they understand that your freedom is where your boundaries end, and it should not coincide with some other person's freedom. And this is exactly the mindset here. Like, they really believe and stick to this principle in every discipline that they work in, which I also started appreciating after 8 years of living here now. And this is something very positive I would also like to bring back to my own country in India, that people also understand and value this, that your freedom just doesn't begin from you. That's but true. It and should not intersect with somebody else's freedom. Absolutely. As well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
With that, Pallavi, I would really like to also listen from you about your future plans. For example, where do you envision to see yourself personally, and also where do you see yourself in this lead position, taking FICCI along with you in the next coming years?
Neha, before I answer your question, I would like to say one more, good thing about FICCI. Of course, like any other organizations, there are, pros and cons. But I would, as I said, I'm a very positive person. I like to focus on joyful stories, which gives you joy throughout your life. So, FICCI is an organization which believes in diversity, and not only FICCI doesn't post about it, but it shows in the action. I am leading FICCI in Germany. My colleague, a very good friend, Navita Meyer, is leading FICCI in Singapore. My very good friend is leading FICCI in US, Sapna Das. But it doesn't mean that all the foreign offices are being headed by women. My very good friend Param Shah is leading UK. So, we have this excellent balance. And FICCI was the first industry association in India which had female leadership. When Nainalal Kidwai took over the leadership of FICCI in 2012. So we have some amazing leaders in FICCI, and these leaders tell you that there's no harm, follow your fear, but keep going in that path, right? So and that has become motto of my life. that there's nothing wrong in being fearful. Okay, you can stay afraid of something, but it doesn't stop you to do it. When it comes to having where I see FICCI in Germany in few years time, I would really like to get connected to each and every IHKAs that exist here in Germany, all the business forums, startups like you're like IEF, and want to be approachable, and to all of them. I don't know how I will do it, being one man or one woman team here, but I'm sure I'll find a way to do it. Yeah. And personally, for me, I have few personal goals. I try and live in present. I try and deposit memories and experiences in my account, in my bank account. Okay, so just build on that. That's all.
So thank you for sharing that, Pallavi, very openly with us. And I hope that people who are new to this environment of FICCI and how does it operate, hopefully took back some insights and also some personal learnings from your journey to women leadership here. And indeed, I was actually very impressed. Also, I had chance to look into certain talks by Ms. Sangeeta Reddy herself, and the new initiative she brought. I think 2 days back she brought this PLI initiative in where almost greater than 1,000 crores were sanctioned by the government to drive this
Yeah.
initiative to FICCI. So
Yeah.
congratulations for that, and a
Thank you.
great step towards Make in India initiative. In the next few minutes, I would actually like to take a few questions from the audience. I see some few questions from the audience as well, and we can walk through those, and we look forward to your answers to that. So
Sure.
how many people work at FICCI globally, and how many would be a female staff there? I think you already gave some insights on it, but yeah,
Uh, so,
would like
uh,
to add.
uh, I think we are about, close to 500 employees strong. And if not more, I think we are at least 51% would be female.
That's commendable.
Yeah.
The next question is, how does handholding of Indian companies work in Germany? Are you connecting Indian companies with some business opportunities?
To answer that question, Neha, we are industry association. We are not consulting firm. Okay. But having said that, it doesn't mean that we do not handhold, but we cannot handhold to the extent as consulting firms do. Our job is to connect Indian companies to the relevant, partner. If an Indian company comes to us asking for, suggestions or something, we connect them to GTAI, like, German Trade and Investment, because now it is up to them to tell them about what best places and opportunities lies in Germany, and that's also complimentary service that they provide to Indian companies, so why not make use of it. um, Having said that, we also organize from time to time interactions for Indian companies to meet with their counterpart in German businesses. Like in pre-COVID era, we used to have delegations visiting Germany, and then we used to organize several interactions. They used to visit different cities, different plants in Germany to do this, in physical form. Now it all has gone virtual, so we're doing it virtually now.
The next question is, maybe I'll just rephrase that one. So Germany offers India basically, high tech, for
Yeah,
example, where India has white spots,
yeah,
while India offers Germany software-based services. So a lot of
yeah.
Indian companies have software bases in India. So how does FICCI play a role, for example, combining these forces of the two countries, specifically where they have the white spots for, a greater good and a holistic benefit for the both sides?
So we, as I said, we come out with publications which share insights about both the markets, which share the gaps, where the gaps lies, and then we bring them together on one platform to interact with each other and get to know what India, you put it, the answer actually lies in your question. You have put it yourself very beautifully, that India offers IT, and IT services related talent, whereas Germany provides innovative solutions. So yes, my job is only to bring them together, and then and it's up to them to take it forward, which they do.
Okay, perfect. So I think that's all the questions that we received today, Pallavi, for you. Thank you for such a great insight about your journey, about FICCI, the initiatives you are driving here. Any last closing notes from your side for the audience today? Um,
no, Neha, I mean, I'm really thankful to you, to Sanjay ji, to Ashutosh, to everyone who has given me and FICCI this opportunity. As I said, the journey is very ordinary, but do not underestimate it. Do not underestimate your own journey, because I'm sure your story is, equally and probably more interesting, than my journey. I would also like to hear that someday. Neha, we'll turn the tables around and then I'll hear from you. But yes, having said that, focus on your differentiating strengths. Okay, focus on your communication, and ask for help. Ask for help. And one thing which has helped me to come this far is an incredible support system that I have been blessed with. My family, my siblings, and my husband. Like, my job involves a lot of travel. Of course, like before COVID, I used to travel every week, from Munich to Hamburg every week. And then it was my husband who was taking care of the household and my daughter, not only mine, our daughter. So um, what happens that, do not focus on gender when it comes to task. A task is a task. In my household, any task doesn't have a gender. I know my daughter is going to grow up very confused at why my father is spending more time in kitchen than my mother. But then at least she will not have this notion that, okay, only my mother should do it. But then my mother enjoys cooking on weekends. Okay, so but then she'll find her answers, for herself. Yes, so do not make any task a gender specific task. Support fellow women entrepreneurs. Not only women, support your fellow human beings, essentially, and be open, be honest. That's all.
So thank you, Pallavi. I think the key message that you just shared had a very deep meaning, and that's very important for us to understand, especially for women, because in the ancient times we are only seen as homemakers or caretakers, but now the world is changing. We also need wings to fly, and it's our right to fly, but we cannot do that without family support and specifically the partner support. And great that we are able to find such partners, and great that maybe there are a lot of fortunate women like us who are able to do that. But unfortunately, we should not underestimate the situation on the other side as well.
Of
And
course.
hopefully that improves with people like us, living in global grounds and trying to bring the positives and trying to bring a difference to our nation and make it a better place to live for women like us wanting
Thank
to
you.
fly.
Thank you so much, Neha. And that's where women like you or women like me come into picture to help, fellow women leaders
Yeah.
and give them wings. Yeah. Thank you.
So I would like to express my gratitude, Pallavi, again today on behalf of Indian Entrepreneurs Forum for joining us, sharing this amazing talk with you today, giving your personal side also to the people. And I would also encourage the crowd here who have attended our session to please look out for the event that is happening, sponsored by FICCI from 11th to 14th of December, being inaugurated by our own Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, and amazing series coming up and a lot to learn. So please do look forward and try to register.
Thank you.
All right. I would like to now hand over to Sanjay, our chairman, again for the closing note and also introducing the speaker for tomorrow.
Yes, thanks Neha, and thanks Pallaviji. It was really enchanting to see and watch two powerful women sharing their ideas and tips and interesting experience. This is exactly why this networking platform is established, Indian Entrepreneurs Forum, which is not only for Indians. It can be used by anyone in Europe at least. so that we can act as networking platform, enabling all kinds of entrepreneurs or young people who are growing in Germany in a way as compared to the previous diaspora which is already there established here. But the younger generation which is coming here as students or a workforce, they are also wanting to do something here, and we see as a catalyst for such young people who want to flourish with their ideas and grow here, make an enterprise out of it, and become an entrepreneur to have a successful business in Germany. So not only as a Indian community, which I think also helping each other, we have also done a few events in the past with the Consulate General of India in Munich, and also with the IHK together. And we want to do such more events apart from COVID, of course, and bring them physically also together, such entrepreneurs and ideas which can be enabled from our side, so that they can share, or rather experienced business people can share their experiences at this platform, and younger generation can learn from it. So thank you for that. Thank you for spending the time, Pallaviji. And tomorrow we have Juliane Fromter, like Neha mentioned before. She is, I think, a counterpart, a little more focused on startups from Germany who are looking to go to India. So she's the head of Next Step India. Juliane Fromter, I have known her for a few years, and she is also going to be here tomorrow, sharing what kind of how can we make help of this tool called German Accelerator Program. And there is an immense amount of potential for the startups which is growing here. And yes, so we are also very excited to see her tomorrow. Please join us tomorrow. If you have any questions, divert them to ief-germany.com. Please feel free to come and contact us. Thank you. Have a nice evening, and see you soon.